Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sunday, to my Sunday, 25th day of my 30-day Facebook Lives. Could it be the 25th? It could be. It probably is. Anyway, happy Sunday to all of you out there in Facebook world, land, wherever you are. I hope that you have an enjoyable Sunday. I have to share something about Sundays, which is, I had to get into the zone again today. I do not really crazy about Saturdays either, which is, I know that's weird. I know, but hear me out. But I'm super not crazy about Sundays, or I didn't used to be. I'm starting to like them a little more. But you know what my favorite day is? Monday. That's my favorite day. I'll tell you why. So back in the darkness, where I spent a long time. And I just want to say first, before I go into that, I just want to say welcome everybody who's been joining me all of these days. I really appreciate it. And hi, James. Hey, James, I was thinking about you today with my roller skating shirt. Remember Roller World? Was it called Roller World? Yes, I remember I think it was called Roller World. Anyway, me and James, we used to skate together. Here was the thing. This was back in 5th and 6th grade-ish. Definitely 6th grade. And so we would go, like me and my girlfriends would go, and then there'd be the boys there. And then when the slow song came on, like Casey and the Sunshine Band, then the lights would dim, and then a boy would come ask you to skate. And if they were just friends with you and just wanted to stay friends with you, then they would hold your hand like this, right? But if they liked you, they would hold you like that. Remember, James? Okay. That's a nice memory. Welcome back to all of you who have been joining me, and welcome to new people to my, I don't know what you call this. It's just day 25. That's what it is, of 30 days Facebook Lives. That's what I'm doing. Talking about all things narcissist. All right. Anyway, back to Sundays. I hope all of you are enjoying your Sundays. I know the majority of the world, thanks, James. I know the majority of the world likes weekends better, and of course, it makes sense, and the whole TGIF and whatever. And I'm always like TGIM. Thank God it's Monday. And the reason is because, and nowadays I do like Saturdays and Sundays, but old habits are hard to break, or old thought processes are hard to change, to rewire that tape in your head. So back toward the end of my abusive marriage to a diagnosed narcissist, the last few years, but I would say especially the last 2 years, because my oldest son had left for college, meaning that I no longer had anybody to have adult conversation with. You would think that the person I was married to, I could have had adult conversation, but he wasn't interested. So I spent a lot of time alone. He was out all week long working from, long hours, which is great. And on weekends, he would be home. And let me just set the scene for you of why I don't like Sundays. Of course, I'm in a better place, and I'm in Arizona now, where I'm nice and safe, and I love Arizona. But back then, we lived in a very, very small town in Wyoming, and we had built a 10,000 square foot house on 10 acres, which is where I spent the majority of my time, especially the last couple of years. And especially on weekends in the winter, oh, those were the worst. So the reason that I hated weekends is because he would be home, and there were a couple things that I would have to endure. One was if he was deciding to give me the silent treatment, and the other was that we had two kids, two young kids left at home. My oldest had left for college, and all Saturday and all Sunday, I would just be the chosen one to take care of them, like to feed them, to, whatever else. And he would just be either working outside or working in his office with the door locked. He would lock the door. So I would have to like knock on the door just to ask him if he wanted to have lunch. And it got to the point in the end, because I shared with you who are watching, this is a few days ago, but 2011 was the worst year of my entire life. I hope I never have a worse year than that, but that's when my whole world came crashing down. And it was in September 2011. 9/11, right? Crazy. So that was the worst year. One of the reasons that it was the worst is up until my world came crashing down, and I discovered his entire double life that ruined our lives as we knew it. Well, ruined mine and my children's lives as we know it, didn't ruin his. But up until September, that entire year, he was growing increasingly cruel. That's what narcissists do, is they just get worse the longer that you're with them, because they know that they can get away with this shit, that you're going to put up with it, because I showed him that I was putting up with it for years and years and years and years and years. So it was getting worse. So by that time, when I was stuck at home on a weekend and there wasn't a whole lot to do in the town, but especially in winter when I'm not a winter person, so I didn't go outside. I didn't like to go outside. I don't like to be cold. So especially in the winter, it was awful because I'd just be cooped up in this house, taking care of my two youngest, and just at his beck and call all the time, never knowing where he's at in the house, what mood he's going to be in, what he's going to demand, if he's going to be wonderful and charming and passionate, or if he's not going to be that. This left me just in a state of anxiety, I guess, is the best way, just walking on eggshells and just a state of anxiety the entire weekend. I know from the outside looking in, if you've never been in, well, I know all of you, most of you know what I'm talking about. But for those who have never been in an intimate relationship with a narcissist, this may be hard to understand. So coupled with the fact that we lived in this, monstrous, gargantuan house, and that I was solely responsible for taking care of our kids, which was fine. It's just like, really? Can I get a little bit of help here? And being locked out of his office, or when he'd be outside, he'd be like working outside on his backhoe or whatever it is. And here was the thing, like when lunchtime sort of rolled around, I'd have to go, like literally go outside and like I'm waving at him and trying to scream and stand in front of the backhoe to get his attention that, hey, I'm making lunch, do you want something? And the reason that I had to do that is because a couple of times, or maybe I just made that mistake once, where I thought, he doesn't fucking watch, like he doesn't know what time it is. I'm gonna make lunch for the kids, right? I'm gonna make lunch for the kids to eat. My God, I never heard the end of that. So after that, I would always chase him down. And I never knew what kind of mood he was going to be in after he got off the backhoe. This would go on Saturdays and Sundays. The other thing, the worst thing, now, for all of you Lady Gaga fans out there, please just accept my apologies. I still to this day cannot listen to Lady Gaga's music. Now, once she was in Star is Born, and oh yeah, I love her as a person. That's all fine. But I cannot listen to her music because, again, especially in that last year, and this might have to do with, I think this has to do with, when you're a middle-aged man and you're going after girls who were not old enough to drink. I think something happens to a man's, they have to like maybe start trying to think younger, so they start listening to music of that's younger, or because he had never done this before. He had never done this before. So he would be in the in his office, which was on the bottom floor. We had 3 floors. Right above, and again, think of winter, Wyoming winter. Nobody's going outside. We're trapped. Okay. He's on the bottom. He has locked his office door, and right above his office is my office where I would work. And I would try to do some work on the weekends. At the time, I was trying to get my master's degree. And so I would have homework and stuff like that, and in between taking care of the kids. So it was his office, my office right above him, and then our master bedroom right above that. So he would, again, lock the door, and he would play super loudly. He had the Lady Gaga's channel on Pandora. This is a thing. I didn't know it at the time. This is way back in 2011. Yes, so he would put it on the Lady Gaga channel, and he would put it loud like we're in a club, like the you know, the bass and with no regard to the fact that I'm in the house, that our kids are in the house. Fine, he's, you know, doing his thing, getting in the mood maybe, because he would also be down there practicing his Russian with these girls. It's important that he learn how to communicate, right? Because that way you can groom better if you can talk in their language. You can groom them better. Anyway, here is what happened. What would happen? So I would be already in a state of anxiety, and also I was in a lot of physical pain at the time. I was suffering from anxiety attacks, panic attacks, stomach aches, and you name it, I had it. I was suffering from it. Not to mention he was just cruel. He was mean a lot of the time. I didn't like him. I wanted him to go to work. I didn't want him to be home. I wanted him to leave. But there was nowhere I could go either. There, again, this is a small town. Like, we didn't even have a mall. We had a Walmart. No thanks. And there were hardly any restaurants open or anything. Like, there was nothing else for me to do. So on top of that, let's say that he had been giving me the silent treatment or whatever. I just remember being in pain a lot, like heart pain, not like emotional heart pain, like heartache. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. So I would just be in heartache. And when he was home, it was right in my face of what I was married to, right? When he went to work, I could distract myself but when he was home, I had to look right in the face of the person who was hurting me on purpose and didn't care. I just want to put a reminder out for everybody there. Narcissists, they know what they're doing. They do it on purpose. They don't care. They know what they're doing. They do it on purpose. They don't care. So when he would turn up his Lady Gaga station, it sounds so crazy now, but it was really hard for me to get through a day, like Saturday and especially Sunday. I don't know why, but Sunday was the worst, because sometimes on Saturday he'd go out, maybe go do some work in town or whatever, or even take the boys on a bike ride or something like that. But Sunday was just, he was there all frickin' day long. So he would be down here blaring this where it was just reverberating throughout the entire house. So I would go into my office to try to, right above him, to try to do schoolwork or to do some writing or whatever. And it's just boom, boom, boom. It's like a club below right? And he has the door locked. And even if I go pound on the basement door, he can't hear me. So then a lot of times I would go up to my bedroom, which is, I could still hear it through the floors. And I would just lay down I would just hide out in my master closet. I just hide out there for as long as I could get the kids not to come in looking for me. I'd put a movie on for them, or maybe they were playing outside or whatever it is. And I would just go up there and cry till I couldn't cry anymore and just try to get through Sundays. Okay. I don't have those Sundays anymore. I don't. I haven't in many years now. So I do like Sundays now. Kind of. But Monday's my favorite day. Okay. We are going to talk about, I chose Sunday to talk about forgiveness, because what better day to talk about forgiveness than on a Sunday, right? I'm not religious. A lot of people are, a lot of you may be, and I know that forgiveness is defined differently with some people who are religious compared to maybe just spiritual people, of which I count myself of. But I wanted to talk about forgiveness because this can really do a lot of damage to a victim. Forgiveness. It sounds weird, but it can do a lot of damage because it can re-traumatize you if you don't have a good understanding of what the purpose of forgiveness is for. Now, I want to just preface with, this is my definition of forgiveness that I'm going to talk about today, and this is what helped save my ass and helped me recover and heal, is this forgiveness. If there is a different version that works for you, do that. My whole point in talking about forgiveness today is that you need to do what you need to make forgiveness work for you in your healing and recovery. Don't listen to anybody else tell you what forgiveness means. When I first started this journey, and my first understanding of forgiveness was because I kept hearing it from everybody. Everybody's like, oh, you have to forgive the one who hurt you, even if they don't apologize, right? You have to extend them forgiveness so you can be free. I cannot tell you how much grief this caused me. This caused me so much grief because I spent all this time thinking, how on earth was I going to forgive him? Especially when at the time he was still purposely hurting me and our children on purpose. So it just didn't make any sense to me. How was I supposed to forgive him? And then I kept hearing all these people and so-called experts who were like, this is what forgiveness looks like. This is what you have to do. And it was not only with my ex, it was also with my father, right? Is that, how do I forgive somebody who is still presently inflicting pain and knowingly doing so? How do I forgive them? And why, and what kind of person am I if I can't? If I don't want to? I got to a point where I'm like, no. Just like a little kid. I was just, no. And at the time I thought I was just being stubborn. And I thought, okay, I'm going to pay for this because everybody keeps telling me if I don't forgive them, then I wouldn't be free. Then I couldn't move on. I'm telling you, this is my experience. I'm telling you, that's a load of BS. It is. It's a load of BS. Forgiveness does not have to do anything with the other person. Also, here's what I learned about forgiveness. My ability to forgive is a gift to somebody who has wronged me. And I am open and willing to forgive anybody I'm very generous with my forgiveness when it comes to people who are remorseful and who own up to their responsibility, right? I'm readily, I hand it out, yes. But if there's somebody who, because my forgiveness is a gift, if there is somebody who is showing me time after time that they're going to continue this behavior, even though they know it's hurtful, no, you don't get my gift. You don't get it. Never, ever, ever. And guess what, folks? That doesn't do anything negative to me at all. In fact, it does something positive for me because I am valuing myself. Finally, after all these years, I'm giving value to myself and saying, this is an important part of who I am, my forgiveness, my ability to forgive, right? Again, let me just stick in the interjection of, if your faith, let's say, says you must forgive to be set free, and you believe this, not just that they say it, but you have to believe it. If they just say it, but it doesn't feel right to you, don't do it. Don't do it. But if that's what is said, and that's what resonates with you, and that's what feels good to you, and that's how you're going to get your emotional freedom, then go for it. I'm talking to all of those people because I hear it time and time again from women that I work with and just over the years who have been victims of a narcissist, that the act of forgiving our abusers re-traumatizes us. Okay? Here's what forgiveness looks like for me. And here's what, like I said, saved me. Forgiveness is all about me. I realized that I had to look back, and I had a whole bunch of things to forgive myself for. So I made a list, right? And I put all that energy toward me. Not him. Not him. I was not there. He didn't deserve 1 ounce of my energy, time, attention, compassion, anything. That doesn't mean that I was all, he also didn't deserve my anger or bitterness or anything else. So I'm not giving him anything. I'm not giving him anything. So it's not like I'm at the same time, I'm not giving him forgiveness. I'm also wishing him doom and gloom, right? No. I just shut that down, and I removed him from my life. Like I was talking about, I don't know when, yesterday, every day, all the time, talking about how taking our power back from the narcissist, from our abuser, includes that because they had the pen in their hand and they were writing our life for us. They were writing our narrative, right? They were telling us who we are, and they were telling other people through smear campaign who we are. So we need to empower ourselves to take that pen back, start writing our own story. So this has nothing to do with the narcissist, with the one who hurt you, but it has everything to do with yourself. Here's why forgiveness is so crucial for yourself. And once you do this, I promise you, this is where you're going to find your emotional freedom. The reason that forgiveness is so important is because we, as women especially, how many of us come out of that relationship with not only all of our heartache, right, and pain and suffering, but with loads of guilt and shame and blame that we heap on ourselves. And then, remember we were talking about victim blaming, or I was talking about it sometime, whatever, all the time, every day. No victim blaming here in this space, but victim blaming when, you know, that question of, well, why did you stay? If it was so bad, why did you stay so long? So when we live in a culture, in a society of victim blaming, when we're going through our recovery and healing process, this can't help but pile on more guilt onto us, because then we do start asking ourselves, how could I stay? Why did I stay so long? How could I put up with it? How could I be so stupid? I'm just telling you things that I would ask myself, and I feel guilty of myself. How could I put up with it? What kind of woman am I? What kind of woman would be so weak and pathetic to stay that long, to put up with it? All these things. The other thing that this was my biggest one that I needed to forgive myself for, is staying too long because of my kids. What was I showing them? What was I modeling for them? I had 3 boys. What kind of men were they going to be when I am showing them that not only, oh, this is how a man acts with a narcissist, but this is a husband. This is what husbands are like. And this is what wives are like because they put up with it. That's what I did, right? That was the message I was sending my boys is, well, I was staying, I was there. So these are all things that I had to forgive myself for. So what I want you to take away from today is make a list, go back, make a list of those things that you need to forgive yourself. You stay too long? Do you feel stupid? Do you feel pathetic? Whatever it is, we feel all of those things because, again, it's all that victim blaming that's getting into our head and making us feel horrible about our decisions with the narcissist. Did you go back? Right? That's a big one because I went back once, but many of us go back several times. And so that's a big one that we need to forgive ourselves for. Here was a big part that I needed to forgive myself for. And when you're going back to make this list, just be super honest. And if you are having a hard time talking to yourself back then because you still have a lot of anger at her, right? You're kind of pissed at her, like, seriously, how could you be so stupid to stay, right? I want you to look back and think of the most beloved person in your life. Think of the most beloved person, whether it's a friend or a family member or a child, whatever it is. I want you to think of the one that is your most beloved. And if they were in that situation that you were, and they did what you did back then with the narcissist, right? If they stayed too long, put up with it, whatever else, what would you say to them? You would talk very differently to your most beloved, wouldn't you? You would not throw out, how could you be so dumb? How could you be so weak? How could you stay so long? You would not say that to the one you love most in the world, right? You would say more things like, you didn't know what you didn't know when you didn't know it at the time. That's scientific philosophy right there, right? You didn't know. And it's okay because you were in an abusive relationship. You were being tricked. You were being manipulated. You were being lied to. You were exhausted. You had kids. This is how you would talk to your most beloved. So this is how you need to talk to yourself when you're looking back. Yes, like Rosaria said, we stay too long because we love them. And we can't thank you for saying that. We can't turn off the love like they do, right? And also add into that, for women out there who are wives and mothers, two reasons why we stayed. I know I did. I remember saying this to one of my friends at some point, as far as, I'm not going to break up the family. I made a vow, right? And we hear from society that, well, we don't want to be responsible for breaking up the family. And also we want to try harder because marriage is hard work, apparently. I'm not buying that. A marriage between two healthy people who love and respect each other is hard work? Bullshit. What's hard work is staying with somebody who is abusive to you and who is killing you softly over the years, right? That's what's hard work. But we get all these messages. So that was one reason why I stuck it out. I had little kids. What was I going to do? I was going to break up the family? No way. I didn't want to be responsible for that. So I stayed, right? The other thing, this marriage is hard work. So I tried and I tried and I tried and I forgave and I forgave and I forgave and I loved him. And we had made plans and I had made vows to him and commitment, and all of that I took seriously, right? And I was loyal. I was a good wife. Too good for him, So these are things that we need to forgive ourselves for. And when we are going back to forgive ourselves for, you know, if you're having trouble figuring out what you need to forgive yourself for, just ask yourself what you're pissed off at yourself for. What do you regret? What do you regret? That's what you need to forgive yourself for. So I'll give you an example. One of the things that this epiphany only came, was that 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. I had gone to an international women's conference where Elizabeth Gilbert was speaking. You know, Eat, Pray, Love woman. She's fantastic. If you ever get a chance to go see her, go see her. Anyway, she was talking about this forgiveness of our past. Forgiving that girl or that woman that we used to be. And that so resonated with me that I went back to the hotel room afterward and I made a little video to myself. Nobody's ever to this day seen that video, but I made a video to myself because I wanted to remember. I wanted to like make a statement. It was like me going into the confessional booth. I wanted to confess my sins so that I could forgive myself. And here is what I realized, because I thought I had done the work. All of my whole healing and recovery, like I was doing the work. I was in there getting dirty, in pain, going through it. I was like, but there was one thing that I didn't realize at the time. I was deeply, deeply pissed off at myself for doing. And so when Elizabeth Gilbert said that, she said, if there is something still holding you back, if there is something that is unresolved within you, then that is a part that you still have not forgiven yourself for. So I had an aha moment, went back to the hotel room, pushed record, and it all came like just washing through me. And I realized that I had not yet forgiven myself. I had forgiven myself for a lot of things, staying too long, all that stuff. I had not forgiven myself for, in 2011, in September of 2011, when my whole world came crashing down and I discovered his double life, which was sordid and gross and pervy and disgusting and all of that. It's like we should have been on a Jerry Springer show for what I uncovered about him. I had to forgive myself for, I accepted his apology like that. He had destroyed my life, and it was over the course of a week that I uncovered more and more and more and more and more. Being physically sick, all of that, just my world destroyed. I couldn't function. I could barely get up in the morning. I was in so much pain. And when he came to me and was more apologetic, because I didn't know anything about narcissists at the time, guys, right? I had no idea. I just thought, oh, there's that guy again that I remember him from when I first met him 16 years, 15 years before, right? I remember that guy. So he came all in his love bombing self, crying, embarrassed, apologetic, remorseful, or so I thought, all of that, begging me on his knees, begging me not to leave him. Please don't take the kids away. You know what I needed to forgive myself for? It probably took me 5 minutes, and I forgave him. 5 minutes, and I forgave him for all of that. Wow, this was a huge, huge thing I needed to forgive myself for, because what that set in motion, what followed after that was, it just got worse after that, right? He was good for a little while, I think like a month. That's when I convinced him to get into counseling, where we found this psychologist, thank God, who is an expert on narcissism, and diagnosed him. It was an unraveling from that point on, where I just found out more and more and more about this gross, pervy, sordid double life of his with young girls. that unraveling as it went on, and I kept finding out about stuff, and then, culminating in me leaving him because it was just too much to bear. The details were just too much to bear. Too much. Like, just too much. As women, when you got your house, right? And when you're gone and Goldilocks comes in and is trying out all your beds, you know what I mean? That kind of, it was just too much. So when I left, because I had forgiven him that easily, it made it much harder on me later on, going through the divorce and things like that. So here's what I was pissed off at myself. I was pissed off at that when I first found out. I carried this, I didn't know this, I carried this for a couple of years. When I first found out about who the man I was married to, who he really was, which was gross, and yes, just unbelievable and all of that. When I first found out, I should have done like we see in Hollywood movies. That's what I should have done. Anybody seen Waiting to Exhale? This is an older movie, Whitney Houston. And when Angela Bassett, like her husband, is an absolute jerk and screws her over. So what does she do? She packs up all his most expensive stuff, all his belongings, everything, his skis, his whatever, all his watches and all his suits and every single thing, packs it into his, I think he had a BMW convertible or some luxury car, packs it all in, pours gas all over it. I'm not advocating violence, people. I'm just telling you what was in the movie. That's all I'm doing. Pours gas all over it, lights herself a cigarette, and then throws the match on it. And yes, that's what I was mad at myself for. I was mad that I didn't send that strong of a message of not only are we done, but I am not going to put up with this. And I didn't. I forgave him in 5 minutes, even though he had done some truly despicable, horrible, unforgivable things, right? I forgave him. Anyway, I'm not in that place anymore because I purged that. So this is what I'm talking about with your own forgiveness for yourself. This is what you need to do. You need to go to those dark places, which is crucial for you to get to the place of emotional detachment and your emotional freedom. You got to go through the pain to get there, unfortunately. You got to go, like Steve Miller sings, you got to go through hell before you get to heaven. This is what you have to do. And I want to read you a piece from my book. I totally forgot to talk about the book at the beginning of this. This is what you need to forgive yourself for. Again, I write better than I speak. So I'm going to use my own words. They're my words, but I'm just going to read what I say here. So this is to all of you. This is what you need to forgive yourself for. Don't worry about forgiving anybody else. Don't. If that doesn't feel good to you and you know that's not going to help you, in fact, if you know that's going to hurt you, don't do it. Don't. I don't care what anybody else says. Forgiveness is yours. It's a gift that you own, and you can do with it what helps you, what is best for you. Okay, so when you're making this list of what you need to forgive yourself for, these are some things that I want you to know about your experience. And I used to talk to myself the same thing. Everything I'm saying to you, I've said to myself at one time or another. This is what you need to forgive yourself for. If you have been hurt at the hands of a narcissist, you are not to blame for what happened to you, okay? You do not bear the responsibility of somebody else who hurt you, whether they had a bad childhood or that saying hurt people, who cares? Who cares? Go over there, hurt other people. You're not hurting me anymore, right? And don't give your energy to that. It is because of nothing you've done that prompted someone else to abuse you. I have said this before. I firmly do not believe we attract narcissists because that's putting some kind of blame on ourselves, like we're defective. I just believe that we have open doors that we're unaware of where they can walk in and take advantage of us. You are not deficient in any way and did not deserve to be abused. There is nothing wrong with you. You do not have to change who you are to deserve real love and respect from others. Despite what the narcissist told you, you don't need to change. You're not the one who needs to change. You are worthy as you were yesterday, as you are today, and as you will be mañana. When you're going through this list, this is super important to understand where this forgiveness lies. When you're thinking back at, I just had this, someone commented this the other day on I think it was yesterday's video, as far as how they reacted. They were blaming themselves, doing that whole, well, there's two sides to the story, because I also was, you know, how you reacted. It's called reactive abuse sometimes. Let's say you're the one, you can't take it anymore, and you're, you know, throwing out language back at him, calling him every name in the book. Maybe you're, you know, you get so, maybe he's in your face and you push him or whatever it is, right? When you're reacting to abuse, that is not the same as being the abuser who's purposely inflicting pain on you. So please remember that when you're, because I used to in the beginning, because remember, narcissists will project on you. Maybe they'll call you the narcissist, or they'll tell you you're the bully, right? That happened to me. I'll never forget that. It just came out of nowhere, where he just came out like in normal conversation, where he was like, you know, I've been doing a lot of inner work lately. He used to always talk to me like he was a psychologist and I was his patient. Did any of you ever get that? Like, he was always counseling me. Anyway, he was like, I decided, you know, I'm gonna do some inner work, and I'm seeing that I just I don't deserve to be around bullies in my life. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, who do you feel that about? And he's like, well, you're a bully. And I'm like, what? I'm a bully? Wait, what? That's my look a lot in my, right? This is our look in a relationship with a narcissist. So much like, what? That's where the foggy brain and all that, because we just can't catch up. We're just like, you know, like a dog does when they tilt their head. They're just like, wait, what did you say? That doesn't make any sense. I'm so confused. I spend a lot of time in confusion. So how you react, don't beat yourself up for that, okay? When somebody is, oh my gosh, when somebody is, you know, constantly and purposefully, if you look back and see how this person who hurt you, this narcissist, because this is what narcissists do, where they're pushing you and pushing you and pushing you and degrading you and manipulating you and confusing you and lying to you and cheating on you. And this is just over and over and over and over, right? Until you snap. And whatever that snap looks like, I'm not talking about killing him. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about every other thing, right? Where you just snap, whether you fight back, whether you are verbally, you know, assault them back. Please don't hold yourself responsible for how you acted when you're under duress, okay? Don't do that. You need to forgive yourself for that. You need to let it go. That's what I had to do. This part of forgiveness, the reason it's so hard is because when we come out of a relationship with a narcissist, we don't feel really great about ourselves, right? We don't. I hear this a lot, and I used to say this all the time, that I didn't recognize the woman in the mirror. I didn't even know who I was anymore. But according to, that's my stomach grumbling. Did you hear that? That's so funny. I'm not even really hungry. Anyway, sorry about that. But yes, we don't even, we're just such in a beaten down place, especially at the beginning, that it's really hard to find anything to love ourselves for, because we have all these voices in our heads, specifically the one who hurt us, specifically the narcissist who told us all these terrible things about ourselves, and we've almost believed them. We kind of have believed them, right? We know our gut instinct is saying, don't believe it. But to an extent, we're in a, that's why we're in a really vulnerable place and a tender place. So it makes sense that we're going to continue to beat ourselves up. But here's what I'm telling you. You've been beaten up enough. You've been beaten up enough. So don't do it to yourself now. And that goes for victim blaming too. There are enough victim blamers in the world. You don't need to be doing that shit to yourself, okay? Because you don't deserve that anymore. You deserve to move forward and put this pain in the past, in the rearview mirror. And the way to do that is through forgiveness. So again, make a list. Think of all the things that you have to forgive yourself for, maybe that you're mad at yourself for when you look back, regrets that you have, right? I used to have a lot of regrets. I have a picture of my 3 boys when they're younger, much younger. I remember, I have it on my desk. I see it every single day. And they were much, much younger. Like my youngest was probably 2 at the time. And I have this picture, and I used to I put it there because I remember where that picture was taken. I remember the season. I remember the year. And the reason why that picture was so important to me is because I knew that that's when I should have left. I should have left way, way, way back before I did. So I had to forgive myself for that, because there's nothing I can do about it now. I should have left back then, but I didn't. And that's okay. It's okay. So I forgive myself. And that's what you need to do. You need to forgive yourself for all the mistakes that you made, for all the regrets that you have, for whatever you're angry about. And that's where you're going to find and you're going to shed some tears. You're going to shed some tears because it's going to bring up some pain. But more than that, I think you're going to shed some happy tears, because you're going to purge that awful, ugly guilt and shame that you've been carrying around. You're going to purge that. You're going to get that out, right? And that's why some of those tears are then going to be happy tears, because it's just like, again, like I said about your most beloved. If you were talking to your most beloved and they released this and you comforted them, what would you do? You would love them. You would give them a big hug. You would cry with them. So you might shed some happy tears. It's all good. Okay. I hope that this idea of forgiveness, again, I want to tell you, I want to empower you that you define what forgiveness looks like for you. You know, maybe this way that I've been talking about, maybe you do need, maybe to you, it would feel better to you to forgive your abuser. You define it. Do not let anybody else tell you what forgiveness looks like or what you need to do. Everybody, you know, you see like on the news when a mother will forgive her daughter's murderer. I don't understand it, but if that brings peace to that woman, you know, that's what she needs to do. Whatever you need to do, I just want to, again, empower you to, you decide. This is a gift. Your forgiveness is a gift. It's special. Okay. I wish we could all go roller skating now. That would be fun. Okay. Thank you, everybody who joined in today. And this was a great way for me to spend an hour on a Sunday this totally makes up for all my, when I had to live in the Lady Gaga torture chamber. Seriously, for years after I left, if her song came on the radio, I couldn't change the channel. I'm like, no, because it would just, I'd have a physical reaction to it. I really enjoyed this Sunday. I'm learning to enjoy Sundays more. I'm going to go to a movie later with my mom. So that'll be fun. But, you know, still TGIM, I'm excited for tomorrow, for Monday. I love Mondays. I love Mondays. I know, I'm so weird. All right. For all of you, just a reminder again, if you'd like to win an autographed copy of my book, I have some in print. They won't be out in bookstores until next year. All you have to do is share my videos, and I'll put your name in. The more you share, the more your name is entered. If you want a copy of the ebook, that's the ebook cover. This is the new cover. That's the ebook cover. I'll put my link to my website in the comments, and feel free to go there and get a free copy today. Why not, if you haven't read it yet? Also, oh yeah, okay. I have a few things to share with you real quick, because I want you, all of you want to catch Chris Godinez's show at noon. Here's the event schedule for me and Chris. We travel around the country talking to small groups of people about all things narcissist. It's a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon. We'll be in Reno next Saturday, the 14th. If you're going to be in the area, please buy tickets. I think there might be a couple tickets left. We keep it small for reasons of just, you know, want to get to know you, want to hear your stories. You can't do that with a super big group. So it's a great way to, like I said, spend a Saturday afternoon, come and get some support, guidance, share your story, get a hug, all of that good stuff. And then the event Bright will show you where we're going to be for the rest of the year, and I think into next year even. Okay. Here is the link to Chris Godinez's YouTube channel show. Copy paste. She's coming on at noon, and she's going to be talking about complex PTSD and I think dissociative disorder. Anyway, she's awesome. If you've never caught her before, please go. And then when you watch her, you'll be like, oh my God, I have to go see her in person too. And me. Love to see you in person. And then lastly, I'm going to put in my, I opened up for the next 2 weeks my schedule for those of you who have been watching, especially like on today's topic about forgiveness. You know, if you need some help, support, guidance with this journey that you're on, if you don't have anybody to hold your hand through this, let's chat. I offer, you know, complimentary calls. We can get to know each other, and you can tell me some more about your situation, because sometimes well, I think it always helps to talk to somebody who's been there and who understands. I would love to talk to you. And oh, thank you for your comment. And I will go back through the comments afterwards like I always do. Okay, for all of you out there who are on this forgiveness journey, maybe just at the start of it, maybe today was your impetus to, okay, we're going to do this. You're going to focus on yourself, and you're going to forgive yourself for all those things. I'm sending you lots of hope and strength. You can do this. You are strong enough, despite whatever the narcissist, all the terrible things the narcissist told you. You are none of those things. You are all beauty. You don't need to change. There's nothing wrong with you. You didn't deserve any of this, and now you're going to take your power back. Use your forgiveness as the special gift that it is. Forgive yourself for what you've been through. Okay. All right. Love to all of you, and I'll see you tomorrow, Monday. Yay for Mondays. Okay. Happy Monday.